On this Tuesday's Travelin' Young,
I'm going to take you back to where I grew up and where we lived for the first 10 years we were married, Washington, D.C. We're the Youngs.
We've spent our lives traveling the world.
And in 2018, we moved from
Chicago, Illinois to
Copenhagen, Denmark.
Now we want to share with you
how our new lives abroad
Is keeping us young.
keeping us young.
are helping to keep us young. All right, on this Tuesday's Travelin' Young, you were not with me in DC, actually.
wasn't.
I was there visiting family and stuff on my own.
Went all on his own.
Yeah, but while I was there, I thought it was important to pick up some special stuff. You know, because I have this hoodie that people have kind of associated with me and this hat. So I got something a little different and maybe...
I did, but you know what? I think you should change into it, but we should utilize a little bit of video magic.
Oh, okay. All right.
Changicus nationalis!
Well, there we go. Here we are. That's the first time we've done these
it is.
crazy magical transitions. We'll see how it looks in post when I get to it later.
Terrible.
But look, Brisket got a Nationals uniform.
Oh, he's the #1 player.
I got an old Washington Senators hat because, little less known fact probably, the Nationals were originally the Washington Senators, and they left DC and were gone for quite a while. And then the Montreal Expos moved to DC in 2005.
And you finally got your wish. You
I finally
waited
got a team.
so long to have a team, you guys.
I used to drive to Baltimore, which is like an hour and a half away, to see games when I was a kid.
Yeah, I did too.
But so yeah, and I got a couple new hoodies. I promise I will still wear the other one.
Don't
Because that's when they won the World Series. But I got I mean, it's winter weather is here.
Yeah.
So I wanted to up the hoodie
have
game.
options.
And I like this Denmark red.
There you go. See?
We're
Best of both worlds.
We're in Danish red, me and Brisket here. So so anyway, I was in DC and spent, so you've already seen, so a quick note for those that watch our stuff regularly. I've been kind of working on a release schedule, which means videos are coming out not exactly when they're being shot.
Yeah, and I feel like I haven't actually been in a video in a while.
Well, you were in the Odense one that we did Friday, but that was actually like a month ago. So I promise I've not been flying back and forth between the US and here. But this is from the trip where we already saw
New York.
talking to Kira in New York, and then with my parents doing the trot on Tuesday. But now I wanted to go a little bit deeper in where I grew up.
Into young family lore.
Young family, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's start maybe with the house that I grew up in. You saw a piece of it in the trot on Tuesday, but at one point, also by the way, Miranda's here because she lived there with me for 10 years, basically. And while she wasn't on this trip, she has a lot to add to living there because we were together. But I've missed a few Friday facts recently, so even though it's not Friday, you're going to get a ton of facts in this one to make up for missing Friday facts. One is, in 2004, after Maya was born, Miranda and I bought a house. That was just
four houses down.
4 houses down from my parents. And so what you're going to see here in my parents' house, ours was laid out a little differently because they had a couple different styles in the neighborhood when it was originally built. But it was very similar to this in a way, although my parents have added on to their house a ton.
I think all the houses were kind of cookie cutter when they were first done, but now they all look totally different because everybody's redone them. But
yeah, but it was this neighborhood. So like this is the outside of my parents' house. You can see here.
Yeah.
And then here's some of the rooms. Like this room is the living room when I was a kid. Now it's just kind of like where people sleep when they hang out there. And my dad has a desk in there. There's a bedroom there that my brother used to sleep in because I have an older brother. But now my nephew's in there. And then upstairs, we can see that there's a big dining room, which is where we did the trot on Tuesday.
And
so
that was a living room when we first
that was a living room, because the other room off that room
was the dining room.
And now that's kind of like a living room that nobody goes in because it has the precious couch.
It has the white couch that nobody is allowed to sit on.
No, you can only look. Actually, even looking at it, I think is dangerous. It's quite dangerous. This is the kitchen that when I was a kid was much smaller. And when I was, I guess, in high school, they remodeled a bunch. They added that now living room off to the side. They added a workroom on the other side, and they remodeled the entire kitchen. And it's so much bigger and more open now than when I was a little kid. But when I was in high school onward, which has been a ton of years now, by the way, they bought this house in 1982, so they've had it for quite a while. And then on the back of the house, they've added on, I think this was...
That was added after we were married.
After we were married, so that was sometime in early 2000s.
Probably like 2005, maybe?
Yeah, they added this extra part on the end, and they put a deck outside, and a section that I stood and actually shot some video for the flag video outside in the backyard. But that made the backyard much smaller. When I was a kid, that section where that house, where that back part was just like a patio. And there's a brick wall.
Going on down.
There's a brick wall, and I used to like throw a tennis ball against it, practicing pitching.
Yeah.
Trying to learn how to do curveballs with the tennis ball on the back of the brick in the back of the house. But now there's basically none of that anymore.
But your mom always used to joke about how she could stand... When they added on the extra room, she could then stand in the extra room and see back through the forest to our house.
More so in the winter when there are no leaves on the trees, because we were 4 houses down, and the back of our house would face kind of the back of their house, and it curves around. Yeah. So you could actually see the house that we lived in for that. I guess, like I said, 2004 till 2008.
No, 2010. We moved
2010. Yeah. Sorry. So 6 years.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Chicago after that. But it was neat. I mean, and so that also means that this elementary school that I got some footage of is where I went from kindergarten all the way through 6th grade. And that's where Maya started school, because we lived in that house when Maya started school.
She was a fellow Mustang.
Yeah. I think I have footage of a flagpole. And I had to show this because I did the flag video. Yeah. And you know, when I was a kid, we'd go out and raise the U.S. flag. Yeah. And that's basically the same kind of flagpole that our house in Denmark used to have in the backyard at the first one we rented. And so what are your impressions? Because you lived in that neighborhood for like 6 years yourself. I mean, I spent a ton of my life there. But...
I thought it was a great neighborhood. I mean, the house that we were in, we happened to get because we actually got it before it ever went on the market. And so it was a great purchase for us. I mean, it worked out really well. And I actually love Josh's parents. They're great. I love hanging out, especially with his mom. She and I spent a lot of time together, and she like taught me how to sew, and she and I have very similar personalities. So it was actually really nice being kind of close to them, and so it was fun.
I knew like half the neighborhood when we moved there. Yeah, a lot of those people are now gone because we've been gone for a while. But
some have even passed on. Yeah,
some have passed away. Like our neighbor, the wife passed away.
Yeah. Oh, she was
since
so
we
lovely.
lived here.
Yeah.
But the other neighbor, actually, what happened was she was a realtor, and I knew her because her son was my age growing up, and so I'd like slept over their house and knew him for years, and so we contacted her and said we're thinking about moving, and she had the in on the house saying, well, they're going to move, this couple's going to move, maybe we can talk to them and get an offer before it's officially on the market. And so we did, but it was the one we bought was like never been renovated.
No. It was old.
When we moved in, I had to replace the roof. I had to replace the whole air conditioning thing.
And then we didn't do any other renovations.
And I did a bunch inside. We painted
a bunch.
I installed like crown molding, and I redid a whole bathroom myself. Yeah. Back then, I was like super motivated to do those things. I don't want to do any of that stuff anymore. That was like my 20s. I'm like, I'm going to be a home guy and do all that. Yeah, screw that.
No, but it was a great neighborhood. I think the only thing I didn't like about it was that like once you got out of the neighborhood, there were no sidewalks. You couldn't walk anywhere like once you got outside of that subdivision.
That whole area, but going that far, you'd be walking for like miles. Yeah. Before you reach that point. It's a big subdivision. So. I mean, there were sidewalks and stuff where we were. Yeah. So that's that. Yeah.
So speaking of going out, you would go out and go to shopping.
Shopping, yeah. So we wanted to show, so I went in with the GoPro and did some stealth.
You're really not supposed to.
Probably. I mean, if I had this camera that I'm using here walking around, they'd probably like, sir, I'm sorry, sir, you need to leave with that. And so I went in with the small GoPro, and just to show you the vastness of a grocery store. And so I went into a giant food. You can see, and I located oatmeal cream pies while I was there. So you can see me walking up to the oatmeal cream pies. And it's just like so massive. It's crazy. I mean, I think the fruit and veg section is larger than the Netto.
Yeah, I went back one time to visit my parents, and we went into a super Walmart, and it was just an overwhelming experience. Yeah. So I can only imagine how going to a fancy pants giant would feel.
But then, before I left, I talked my dad into taking me to a Costco.
Oh my God.
And this is what a Costco looks like. It's like even bigger, plus bigger ceilings, because like it's like stacked really high.
So the deal is Costco started out as a place for people who owned restaurants and things to go. It was basically like a restaurant supply store. And eventually they kind of changed their model and like let regular people who didn't own restaurants have memberships. And it's like off the hook, but you have to buy everything in like 20-pound bags.
I made sure to get a good footage of a massive jar of mayonnaise.
Oh my God.
So that people can see a huge thing, which Danes might be into.
They're like 5-pound things of mayonnaise, aren't they?
Well, that's basically how much mayonnaise they put on sandwiches at Max when I get it.
I do feel like you guys like the mayonnaise.
So you might like large quantities of mayonnaise.
Yeah.
But I walked around and got some random footage of what this Costco looks like. And that was like one of the last days I was there. My dad and I went over. And so there's that.
I mean, you go and buy meat for like a month.
Yeah, well, that's what my parents do. Is they have a big freezer in the basement, and then they have a place to store food, and they they definitely get a ton of meat, and they stick it in the freezer, and then they put. But in my parents' house, it's my parents, my sister, and her 3 kids. So there's quite a bit of people there, and so they do make a lot of food.
Yeah,
when they need to make meals.
A lot of food.
And Costco's the place for them, and it's also the place I think for retired people. And so they are both need quantity of food and they're retired, so it's a perfect spot.
Yeah.
And but it's not my favorite place to go because the lines are long, it takes forever, and it's like impossible to walk out without spending hundreds of dollars, I think.
That was my secret place to go get my really pretty holiday dresses, though. They always had really nice holiday dresses. I remember we'd
buy like DVDs and stuff there.
Yeah, we would.
I think I got like somewhere probably behind us. I got or behind the camera there, my like Alfred Hitchcock box set. I think that's a Friday fact. I love Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
And I got this really cool box set, and I'm pretty sure I got it at the Costco because they'd have good prices on like big box sets of DVDs. And I did not part with that when I moved, even though I do, and I have a DVD.
Why would you?
A Blu-ray that I could actually, Hitchcock. Bond, Hitchcock, 2 of my favorite things. All right, so that's what a grocery store looks like. I wanted to share because I know people have like asked about stores and what it's like. So that's the covert operation. Of the inside of a grocery store. But one of the other big things I got to do when I was there was go to a Nationals game. But before you see that, we need to stop because it's Try It On Tuesday. Welcome to Try It On Tuesday, where we are in Fune in Odense, and we are going to have brunsviger, which is a Funen dessert that people have told us we needed to try for a while, and since we're here, we thought now would be the perfect time to do it. So we just came to a local bakery, whatever, and got this, and I'm gonna try. I'm very excited. This is, wow, it's really good. I feel like I need a knife too.
It's almost like a coffee cake.
Well, it's super like caramelized-ish on the end. The crusty end part. That's. I feel like I'm gonna break the fork if I. I'm gonna use.
We're having mechanical failures.
Hands are gonna get involved here. This is a Try It On Tuesday fork fail. I'm gonna eat with my hands. Good. She's gonna try some in a minute. We'll see how hers goes. Let's see. It is good, but holy moly. The edge is like super hard, and the fork is not, and it's like really chewy. But
does it taste good?
It does. It's hard to describe the flavor. It's really hard to say what it tastes like. It's like, I mean, it's really sweet. It's really good though. Here, you need to try yours. Wow, that was an event.
Okay. Okay, I feel like, to be fair, I'm gonna go in to the corner like you did and try to get through it all. Oh my goodness.
Use your hand, just bail on the floor.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, oh my. It's
but make sure you get that, because that's also a good part.
Oh, it's like caramel almost. Oh.
Yeah. There you go, for it.
Oh wow. That is super good. It's really sweet, and it's almost kind of like oh, it is like caramel. Oh, it's so good. I could eat that a lot. So, we had an exciting Try It On Tuesday today.
All right, so I had a mishap with the fork. But it was good. It was good.
That thing was not given up easily, though.
No, it was good. I enjoyed that.
It was very tasty.
And yeah, I would like to get that more often.
Yeah, it reminded me of we have a recipe called monkey bread.
Yeah, similar.
That we eat, and it's very similar.
All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is a Nationals game because, as I've said many times, I'm a Nationals fan.
Yes.
Here's another Friday fact for you. The Nationals, all baseball. One day we're just going to have to do maybe one day we'll do like a live stream baseball thing.
Oh my God.
So I can, or maybe we do like a live meetup
like
watching a
CBS
baseball game so I can
something.
teach you guys about baseball. But one thing that you may not know is they play 162 games in a year, not counting the playoffs. And if they go into the playoffs, you could play another 20-some games in the playoffs. 162 regular season games, which means at home you play 81 games. That's half. Yeah. And the first year the Nationals were there, I went to 41 games. I wanted to go to half of the games. And I was in graduate school at the time. And I would go to a lot of games by myself. But I would bring like my books with me. And I would just sit and read. And it was like you could get like $8 seats. There weren't that many people in the outfield in that section. And I just kind of like have I could kind of like, whenever something happened, I can kind of look up, or I just sit. So I just used it as my place to study and then keep the action when it happened. And I went to so many games. All in all, I've been to probably,
I don't even want to
150 or 160 Nationals games. I mean, I lost track after the first 100.
You guys.
And I've been to National games in other stadiums. But this was the first game I've been to since the World Series game I went to. So I was super excited. It was the second to last game of the year.
The question is, did they win?
They did not win. Which is a common occurrence. I mean, that time I went to a bunch of games, I saw some wins. But now I go to like one a year, maybe if I'm lucky, or two a year.
He has a curse,
They seem to always lose. But it was tons of fun, and even though they didn't win, because they only lost by a couple runs, so there was like moments where they could have like hit a home run and come back. So there was like always towards the end on the edge of our seats. But that is like my second home in DC.
Did you get to see the presidents?
Of course, the president's race.
The presidents are so important. Yes.
I've got some video of the presidents, but it's always a fun thing, and it's a way to like midway through the game to get people like energized again. But it was a ton of fun for me going to a Nats game. So the last thing I wanted to show actually is just some stuff from DC because it's one of my, it's where I grew up, and when I was a kid we used to take field trips to museums. I will say this, so first of all, absolutely go to DC if you're planning a trip. And there's a whole section of museums that are free.
The Smithsonian.
And all the monuments are free. So there's so much you can do in the middle of DC that costs nothing. You can also go to a baseball game. But make sure you look and plan ahead because I did not plan ahead. And I wanted to go into the American History Museum and the Air and Space Museum because those are the two that, as a kid, I remember going into.
They were always the
most,
coolest.
And they're my favorite because American History has all this like pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
Like they had like Indiana Jones's hat at one point.
And they have Julia Child's whole kitchen.
Yeah, they have a lot of, and they have like one of the original like American flags, like a really old
they do. They have the Star Spangled Banner. They don't keep it out, but they do have it. They do have.
But they used to keep it out when I was a kid, and they just like they were like covered it, and then they like every hour they'd uncover it for like 5 minutes. Yeah. And then they're in Space Museum, which. There's two, by the way. If you're there for a long time, there's one next to Dulles Airport. That's a huge hangar that actually has a space shuttle that flew into space. Like huge planes. Yeah. They can't fit those downtown. So the one downtown, which is older, has smaller planes, but it has a lot of really cool stuff. Like this old space station you can walk through. Some of the old like small capsules from like Apollo missions and stuff.
Yeah, they have like a moon lander that they used in training. Yeah. So it's really, and another Friday fact is I actually lived not in Virginia, I lived in Maryland until I was 9. So I also went to all those Smithsonians and stuff when I was a kid too. And I also love the Air and Space Museum. Like that was my favorite one to go to.
But we have no footage from it because the problem was it was closed the day that I planned, and I didn't know that. And so apparently they stagger. I think this might be COVID related because of just budgets and not as many people traveling right now. But it's like some are closed Tuesday, Wednesday, some are closed Wednesday, Thursday, some are closed Thursday, Friday. And the two I wanted to go to were closed on the Wednesday that I was there. So I didn't get to go inside those. Yeah. But instead I walked basically the length of the mall where all the museums are. I went to the
really long way.
Washington Monument. I went to the Lincoln Memorial. So I'm going to cut and let you see all that stuff because it was a nice day. Yeah. All that stuff is gorgeous. Super cool to see. So let's check out everything but the museums. Yeah. in downtown DC. you weren't with me. So
No.
tell me, what is the stuff that you miss? Because you haven't been there since February of last year.
Yeah. It's weird because I think we've said this before, like the longer we're away, the less things that we miss. I do really miss Target because Target is this huge kind of, I wouldn't say it's a department store.
It's like Bilka.
Yeah, it's like Bilka, only I feel like maybe bigger. I don't know.
And we refer to it as Target. In order to make it seem a little bit nicer.
It's fancy. And it's just like, it is like Bilka. I think the clothes are maybe a little bit nicer, but it was just like a nice place to go. And there were Targets everywhere. So it wasn't like Bilka where there's only one of them. Like there was always a Target somewhere.
That reminds me, I did bring Halloween candy.
Yes, he did. He brought the good candy. Let me tell you something, guys.
I got it at the Target.
Halloween, if we're able to bring back Halloween candy, we always do, because American Halloween candy, I'm sorry, it's superior.
It is. You shouldn't apologize. No. It is true. I mean, little Snickers bars and Twix and Milky Ways. It's so much better. All that stuff. It is so much better. So I brought like 3 bags, and I'm secretly hoping we don't have very many kids so that they'll be our bags.
Which candy. Reminds me, I didn't have to miss it this year. At Halloween, one of my favorite candies comes out, and it is the Brock's pumpkins. And Josh,
it's like candy corn.
It's like candy corn, only better. They're like little tiny pumpkins. And Josh did not bring me back a bag, but it was okay because I had another friend who happened to go and get me a full bag of pumpkins and a bag of Brock's Autumn Mix. And
she came back before I did, so I was aware of that before.
Yes.
So don't make it sound like
he didn't
have to.
No, but I do miss that kind of stuff. So it's just like little things like that, like Taco Bell I miss. And
I did have Taco Bell while I was there.
Oh, Taco Bell.
And Shake Shack, which I started calling what was I wasn't calling it Shake Shack. I was calling it like, what was I calling it? I was calling it like Steak Shack. I was combining the steak.
Yeah.
What's that?
Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake with Shake Shack into Steak Shack, which I think is what they should call it.
Yeah.
But I had Shake Shack in New York, and I had Taco Bell, and I had Chick-fil-A a couple times.
And I still, to this day, this place has been gone for like a million years. It was gone even before we left DC. I still miss the Chinese restaurant that was there in DC.
Well, that one was funny because what happened is one time I called and to order, because this was like before you could like order stuff online and there was like delivery and stuff. Like they would deliver it to you. There wasn't like a delivery app or anything. And I called once and the lady's like, "Put your wife on the phone. I can't understand anything you're saying." But we used to get stuff there, and then it like burned down or something.
So I still miss that.
Apparently the kitchen was not up to snuff. And
I wish it was resurrected.
Yeah.
But
we need to get some next time we're there. I didn't get any of this like bad American Chinese food.
Bad American Chinese food. It is in no way, shape, or form authentic Chinese food. Chicken. It is so good though. It's so terrible for you.
Yeah. I missed that. Yeah, I should have gotten that. But here's the thing, and my parents watch this, so they will. I need to make sure I tread lightly in what I'm about to say. I love that my dad and mom want to make dinner for me and meals for me every time I'm there. I absolutely appreciate it. And my dad's always like, what do you want tonight? Are you going to be here for dinner tonight? Sometimes I just want that trash stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because it's like, no, I just want Taco Bell, or I just want this nasty Chinese food. You want to have
a trash Mexican meal at some place called El Ranchero.
Yeah. But my parents obviously want to like have nice dinners when I'm there. And so I like have to sneak away for lunch or something to get junk. And
you just have like 6 meals a day.
Yeah, well, I think the Taco Bell was the 4th meal. Isn't that what they call it anyway? I got it, I think, after the baseball game.
Yeah.
I got Taco Bell, which was
second breakfast.
Well, it was like a 4 o'clock game, so it wasn't super late, but I would get it late after games normally.
We just eat like hobbits while we're there. It's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry you weren't there, but you'll get to go in the future.
Eventually, I'll make it over.
And we hope you enjoyed a little bit of this because I wanted to show a bit of like my hometown where I grew up, and my beloved Washington Nationals, and a little bit of DC, which is such a great city to visit. I mean, you should definitely go to DC if you get the chance. I mean, it's just and that area.
Don't let the American media scare you. There are of course parts that are a little salty, but DC is a beautiful city. It's great to visit. You should absolutely
There's great restaurants, not just Chick-fil-A's. Like Jose Andres, who's a fantastic chef, and that's a Jose Andres place. Yeah. He's got a bunch of restaurants there, and he's a super great human. Yeah. So go to one of his places and support him. But it's just so many really cool museums that are all free.
Yep.
And I also got, I didn't mention this, but Ford's Theater, which is an amazing place to go visit. I didn't go inside, but I got shots from the outside. That's where Lincoln was assassinated. You can go inside and see where that happened, and go in the museum where they have a bunch of artifacts from when that happened. And it's only a couple blocks from the mall. It's super cool.
It's really cool.
So it's really neat to walk those streets again, where I worked for 10 years when I lived in the city. And to be able to go see all those buildings and the archives and all that stuff.
As well.
I just didn't go into them. It was all outside. Right. But anyway, that is it. I feel like this is maybe the longest video ever. Maybe I can cut some of it out and spare you from our nonsense. But anyway, thank you. That was Tuesday. And this Friday, Miranda's disappearing again because I'm gonna show New York with Kira when we actually walked around New York and did things in New York. The last one was us sitting and talking about missing Denmark. The next one's going to be actually walking around New York and talking about things in New York. So you will be gone again.
I'll be gone again. And, I'll be back again.
But then you'll be back again later because we got some really cool things planned that we're not going to tell you about. Nope. You'll just have to wait.
Okay.
Until then.
Bye. Bye.